Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to discuss the transition from spring to summer gardens. Let's get going. So my biggest goal heading into this growing season was to improve on my cadence from spring to summer and then summer to fall. So today what I wanted to do was discuss how our transition from our spring gardens went into our summer gardens. Now last year, my biggest problem that I had with the way I gardened last year personally was when I transitioned from spring into summer, I didn't have any sort of buffer. So that meant that we went without garden salads for about 3 or 4 weeks while our kale and our chard and our new rounds of lettuce and things were kind of taking root. So this year I wanted to be better at that. I wanted to make sure that I was constantly growing salad greens, radishes, that sort of thing. Things to make sure that we can eat daily out of our gardens. I wanted to make sure that was available much more often during those two transition periods. So given that, let's go take a look at the gardens and I'll show you what we've done so far. So my plan this year for the transition period was to make sure that I had enough greens, onions, and radishes in order to make the transition seamless. So far, since I believe it was the end of February or early March, we've been able to eat a salad twice a day out of our gardens. So given that, what we really want this time of year, we want more of a substantial greens harvest. We want some variety, because early in the year, really all you can get are lettuce and radish greens. So what we've done here in the transition period was I took off a lot of the tops of these onions and we used those in our tossed salads. You can see here, this will be the next round of the spring onions, and then we have more spring onions that'll come up after that. So the idea is this bed here is going to be a summer bed, but we did put in a few of the crops that we're going to need in order to sort of last out that 2 or 3 week period between the spring garden going out and the summer garden maturing. So a big part of that are these radishes right here that we interplanted with our marigolds and zinnias. So you can see here what we do is, you see how nice and big these leaves are? What we do is every, 2-3 days, we come out and we harvest these large leaves all along just to make sure that our pollinators have some sun, and the radish greens also make for a great salad. Now my cadence is off by about 2 weeks this year. If we can get down here, I'll show you under the mulch there. If you can see, those radishes, they have about 1 week left, and we haven't had radishes in a week. So we're looking at probably somewhere close to 18 to 21 days without being able to peck fresh radishes out of the garden. However, the greens do make for a great toss salad during this time of year. So you'll notice in this video about the transitions that I'm not talking about a lot of the primary summer vegetables. I won't bring up squashes, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, that sort of thing. And the reason for that is we live off of those vegetables in the middle of the summer. What that means is right now I've got to produce enough of these greens to give us fresh salads daily up until we can start getting our cucumbers and tomatoes. Because once the cucumbers and tomatoes start coming off, I'm not really interested in eating leafy green salads for a little while. I'll transition straight into having cucumber salads with tomatoes, cucumber salads with peppers, cucumber salads with cucumbers. I love cucumbers. So anyway, that's kind of the reason that we're concentrating at this point of the transition on the leafy greens. All right, so let's finish up. So we just showed those large radishes, which are these right here. And again, they'll be coming out in about another week and a half or so. And right next to them, you can see this is the next round of radishes that we have right here. These are going to be about 3 weeks out. So once we finish up these 4 rows this way of radishes to give the pollinators room, then it'll be on to these radishes, and we'll do the same thing where we trim the greens to add to our toss salads. And then once they come to fruition, we'll just pull the radishes and we'll add those into them. And then this is also next to them is the next round of the green onions. So as you can see right now, just from this one bed alone, we're planning ahead, and we're gonna have about 3 to 4 weeks more of food that we're gonna be able to add into our early summer or late spring, however you care to view it. Now, if we continue on down past the potatoes here, this is the area that we'll be eating out of in about 5 weeks. And what we've done is we have rotated greens, radishes, and butter crunch lettuce. The reason we do butter crunch lettuce this time of year, we really enjoy the black-seeded Simpson, but the leaves are, they're a bit more fragile. So once the temperatures have a chance of getting closer to 90 degrees, they end up kind of burning up. So we use those in the early spring and late fall. This time of year, we kind of lean on the butter crunch because it's a much firmer, it does withstand the heat just a little bit better. So again, from what we saw earlier into this, we're looking at being able to eat salad greens with radishes and other things right up until the middle of June or July, which is going to mean it will cross over with a lot of our cucumbers and tomatoes. And as I said, once I reach that part of the year, I'm pretty much done with doing a lot of the salad greens. I'm much more interested in the tomatoes and cucumbers until the fall rolls around. But kind of keeping on that topic as far as what we're going to do heading into the end of June and early July, you can see in here we have more butter crunch lettuce, and I spaced this out a little bit more because this lettuce will be coming to fruition right there at the end of June. The reason it's more important to give it a little bit more space is I want to be able to soak the bottom of those roots a lot more reliably whenever the heat comes. So that is the plan for the transition from the spring into the early summer. Now right there around that June to into June, early July mark, right around in there, a lot of those base salad greens have a tendency to start getting bitter, especially if this year is anything like last year where it starts hitting triple digits early. When that happens, your salads get bitter, the chickens and stuff will eat them, but as far as our consumption, we don't care for them at that point. But I know I said I prefer having my cucumbers and tomatoes, and that is true. I also like to have a little bit of variety. So during that part of the summer, and even now, for example, there's a few other greens that we can add that we consider summer vegetables. So let's go take a look at those two. So now we come to what we consider our summer greens. When we do want a tossed salad, this is where it's going to come from. I say that, but as of right now, we are eating some of the kale, and this year we're growing this dinosaur kale. So far, we really enjoy it. It's got a great taste to it, and the texture adds a lot of character to salads and such. We have that, and then over here is the traditional red Swiss chard. Now, kale and Swiss chard, when they're mature, they're usually sauteed and eaten, and they're delicious. At this stage of their growth, however, their leaves are still nice and tender, and they can be added to a tossed salad. Now, as the summer progresses, these outer leaves are going to start getting much larger, much thicker, and tougher. Those you do not want to use in your tossed salads. But if you look on the inside of the kale plant, this behavior will continue all the way through the summertime, where it puts off these small shoots. Whenever you get ready for a salad, just go through once a week or so and take out enough of these small shoots from your kale. The same thing with your chard. They'll be putting off the small shoots all year. You can take those and make a fantastic tossed salad in the middle of the summertime. Again, I don't do it often. I would say probably about once a week or so, because I usually will prefer to eat the cucumbers and tomatoes. But just to switch it up from time to time, it's nice to have that option. And then during the transition where you're waiting for your lettuce and things to go out of season, and you'll know, it won't so much, you don't have to wait for it to bolt, but you'll start getting that bitter taste a little bit more as the heat increases. And if you need to substitute, these beet greens here, they are a great substitute while you're waiting for your kale and your chard to put off the small leaves. These will be good all the way up until the beet comes out of the ground, and we'll pull our beets probably right around the 1st of June. So let me know in the comments down below how your transition from spring to summer gardening is going. As always, we appreciate all you folks. Till next time, I hope you all take care of yourselves. Peace.